Hello, it's Greg and Gaijin. We're back. We hope you're having a happy day wherever you're listening to this audio content from. As always, we'd like to thank you for your continued support of Greg and Gaijin's social media and writing efforts. This is episode 031 of the Greg and Gaijin Definitely Not a Podcast Show. A light and fluffy look at social media, Japan, Japanese food, expat life, and life in general. As always, your retweets of this and all the wonderful content that we actively tweet and retweet out on Craig Hoffman 11 on Twitter is appreciated. Thank you in advance for helping us get the good word out about Greg, Grizzled, and Gaijin. Welcome back. Another good show today, I hope. We're talking about should you be doing more than your contract requires while working in Japan. We'll focus on English teaching, expats in general who work and live in Japan, and as a cultural phenomenon, the Japanese style of working. That's a lot to get to, so let's do it. These days, contracts are a bit more detailed than they used to be, especially for English teacher, or rather English teaching dispatch companies. And often they prohibit like direct contact from the school to the foreign English teacher. You have to go through the dispatch company. So things like coming in super early or working overtime are big no-nos. It's just not something you do if you wish to stay employed in such a company. That being said, a lot of jobs in the private companies and even some of the private eikaiwa companies do want more work out of the foreign English teacher than they used to. And that's also true of a lot of the JET program people that I meet. When I was first here, the JET program was, quote, a pretty easy, end quote, English teaching gig. A lot of the JET participants I knew worked at one school. They had very basic schedules like 8:30 to 5, and some of them had some after-school requirements in a language club, but really no weekends other than a rare special event and the like. It was pretty easy. Fast forward, a lot of the JET program participants that I meet these days at a variety of events are working at multiple schools at multiple levels, and the school is expecting them to, quote, work, end quote. I know JET program participants in recent years who were very much treated like staff. That is to say, as Japanese staff, they attended meetings, they taught classes, they were an active and expected to be an active participant in most, if not all, of the school activities. And for those foreigners who enjoy that kind of working responsibility, it's great. But if you're here to kind of travel around Japan, enjoy your life and kick back, that's probably something that you wouldn't enjoy. If we move to the private companies, and I've been on both sides of that, and I can't talk specifically about my situation, except to say that it's a pretty good one. The companies in general do expect more out of the foreign English teachers, too, because sometimes staff is limited because, there just isn't the budget for salary. So the foreign English teacher is expected to do a bit more than they might otherwise be. Also, profits, come especially for English teaching when there's more students who come to class. When students don't quit, for example, the company makes more money, and whether the foreign English teacher sees any or even part of that is really up to some debate from company to company. In my situation, when students stay and courses and classes grow, I make more money, and when students leave and classes decrease, I lose money. So of course, as an older foreigner with a wife and responsibilities here, it behooves me to work as hard as I possibly can for my company, and I do. In general, expats who are not in English teaching that I know work a lot here, certainly more than they would in an American company. I have a friend who works 5 to 6 days a week for a company in Tokyo. Most of his day is unpaid, what they call service time, and he doesn't love it, but he really has little choice if he wishes to remain employed in that company. And I hear a lot of stories about that. You hear a lot of words thrown out like exploitation of employees. And that's also true of Japanese people that I know. I spend a lot of time in standing bars, sadly, over the years, and I hear a lot of the same stories from the salarymen who work 5, 6, even sometimes 7 days a week, all day a week. And the bonuses that you might expect that might come with such loyalty to a Japanese company are decreasing or have been completely taken away. And so now, especially in the younger Japanese men and women that I talk to, they work really, really hard, a lot of hours, but they really have little, if anything, to show for it in a monetary sense. So, I was reading this article. You said Japan needs foreigners, but the question was, does the foreigner need Japan? And, I don't know about anybody else, but I have to keep my lights on. So if that requires a bit more effort than my contract, spells out to the letter, I'm more than happy to give it, because I feel long term that's to my personal benefit, and it does help the company, and that's an added bonus. But again, personal level, as a long-term foreigner here, I like eating, I like not sitting in the dark, and I like enjoying my life. And in 2018, that takes more effort than it did when I first arrived here in 2005. And of course, you'll meet the foreigners on the other side who feel like that's getting taken advantage. I know several foreigners who do everything to the contract that they're supposed to and no more, and that works for them. And I know some who espouse that you shouldn't do more because it just makes everyone do more and more and more and more. But that's kind of a Japanese style of working. Sometimes there's very low efficiency. I used to work in a school. There were teachers there at 6:20 in the morning, and they would leave like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And throughout the day, I would see them sleeping at the desks or out in some sort of quote-unquote meeting, which was basically coffee and watching a little of the Japanese Professional Baseball League in the lounge TV. That's something that generally doesn't happen in an American working environment. My beloved mother, she has a great job, and she was saying if you just sat around and did nothing, you'd be gone in her company, and I don't think that's unusual at all, especially in an American setting. But what you see is, though, people, when it's time to put the pedal to the metal and go at a work project or a deadline, it's pretty rare for a Japanese person to not meet the deadline. And me too. Just yesterday I was doing something and suddenly the work had not been done by other people. The company didn't care. They wanted the work done, and I came early and I did all the work and met the deadline, and life went on. If I had not done that and we had failed in that project, and I say we as a company and we as foreign employees, it would not have been, again, to my personal benefit. And so when I talk about should you do more in your Japanese company or shouldn't you, I think if your goal is to avoid trouble, you should look for ways to do more. And I'm not saying that you should live at work and work every day for free. Certainly, you should get compensated when you can. But it's really hard in a Japanese company come contract time to go asking for more money or a larger bonus when you really haven't played your, quote, good role as a good little soldier, end quote. And so, in my personal situation, I cross my T's and dot the I's, as it were, to the nth degree. And then when my opportunity comes to get hopefully a bit more money from my company or other things that I might be doing, I have a leg to stand on. And it doesn't mean I'm always going to get the money that I hope for, but generally I've been pretty successful in getting at least some benefit, again, to my personal or work life that I probably would not have gotten if I was just average. And I think that happens a lot in Japan. You work as hard as you can with your eye on the prize, hoping that the company acquiesces and gives you some financial benefit. And that's about all you can do. It's not a perfect situation. Working in Japan is certainly not for everyone, especially if you come from a Western company and you're used to much more work-life balance and being rewarded and promoted for that hard work. Often in Japan, whether you're foreign or not, it simply doesn't happen. And the worst part, even if you are promoted, sadly, the money that comes with it in many Western companies certainly doesn't happen in Japan. Something to think about if you're considering working here or looking for a new job in Japan. That's it, and have a great, great day.